Hi everyone, it's Heather from True North Spirit Medicine here. How are you going today? Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. It's a bit exciting. This month, again, I am being incognito with my face. Partly because keeping my foot elevated, it's easier when the camera's not pointing at me. And also, to be honest, partly because I couldn't be bothered. You know, there's a bit of extra setting up that goes on that's involved with having the camera on, and it takes more time editing. So for this month, I've decided to make it easier on myself, actually, which feels really nice. If you miss my face, you can look at the picture. Or you can look at some of the old videos. There's not hundreds of them, there's heaps of them. Anyway, I will be back with my face probably next month, but for this month I decided to be gentle and easy on myself, so that's nice. Okay, 2025, it's a 9 year, so if you add 2, 0, 2 and 5, it adds up to 9. And 9 in numerology is the end of the cycle. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 10, of course, is the 1, which is back to the beginning, which is the Fool's journey, the beginning of the journey again. So a 9 year, they often say it's about endings and things finishing and all the rest of it, which it is. But I guess there's two things that go along with that in my mind. One is that with every ending is a new beginning. It's a good thing to remember also that you don't have to wait for the ending for the beginning to begin. You know, like they often say, you know, you've got to crack an egg to make an omelette, which is true, obviously. But when we're talking about sort of bigger endings and beginnings, like essentially you have to wait for the ending of the egg to begin to create the omelette. Does that make sense? But in our case, especially with this big shifty energy that we're going through, we don't have to wait for the ending to start welcoming in the new. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. And we're already seeing the new energy, the new earth coming forward, you know, more compassion, more love, more integrity, more grace, you know, and all the sort of psychic energies increasing on the planet, all that kind of stuff. The new energy is already here, you know, it's just going to be heightened. The other thing with the 9 year, and I don't actually see this talked about much, but it's sort of, I guess, my intuitive understanding of the 9 is that the 9 comes with all of the wisdom, all of the lessons, all of the learnings, all of the joys and the celebrations along the way of the 1 through 8. Do you know what I mean? So 9 does signify endings and the end of cycles, but it also has a lot of wisdom because it's gone through all of those stages from 1 to 8. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's wise, there's wisdom, and often, I remember people saying a long time ago, one of the things to look for if you're looking for sort of mentors is a sense of humour, you know. Like, for example, the Dalai Lama, he's often giggling, you know. Yeah, so there's wisdom and there's humour there as well, like, yeah, in the 9. So that's kind of exciting as well. I was listening to a bit of Pam Gregory the other day when I was weeding in the garden, and she was reminding us, because she's, of course, a very good astrologer, she was reminding us about all of the big outer planets are changing signs this year, and that's big news. They get quite excited about that in the world of astrology. I mean, I get excited too, but I don't really understand all of the ramifications of that. But she was saying in one interview I was listening to a bit of the other day that, you know, because Pam Gregory is good at kind of looking back and seeing the patterns, like, you know, when these last alignments happened and what was happening socially and culturally in those times and the parallels to now or the differences to now and that kind of stuff. And she was saying with one of these astrological alignments, or maybe the fact that all of them were changing signs. Anyway, she was saying she couldn't find another reference point for this in the past. She couldn't. It's unprecedented, basically. And her and the other lady were getting quite excited. So that's nice. It's like, yeah, new beginnings. Anyway, I'll put the link to that below. I haven't finished watching it, but you know, I trust that the rest of it's going to be as good as the first part. So yeah, have a listen into Pam Gregory if you're interested in the sort of cosmic weather report, because she's a good egg, that one. Okay, what else did I have to talk about before we get started? Big changes, get excited, heart-centered living, people power, all of that stuff. So I think we mentioned last month about the intuition getting louder and louder and stronger and not to be afraid of it. That's still true. In fact, it's getting even more pronounced, I think, for me anyway. And, you know, I've been doing this work for, you know, a couple of decades or more now. So it doesn't scare me anymore. But I remember at the beginning when so I used to call them like trippy things or hoopy, scary things, because I didn't have a language for it. I wasn't raised with this, you know, understanding of metaphysics or psychic energies or anything. So when, you know, weird stuff started happening, like I knew the end of people's sentences before they finished talking, it sort of scared me a little bit. I was like, I must be bad or wrong or psycho, and it's not in our mainstream media at all. If anything, it's still allowed to be poo-pooed. You know, the woo-woo can be poo-pooed, and there's no one in our culture that really defends that yet. So that'll be an interesting cultural shift. I'm kind of hanging out for that one. But yeah, so it's sort of almost like underground information, you know, like once you start looking and once you start realizing there's reams of information and thousands of actual Newtonian scientific experiments done on psychic energies and stuff, you'll just go, oh wow, it's a real thing, you know. But in the meantime, it might be a bit scary, it's only me, but it's not only you, and it's getting louder, you know. So for me, it's kind of fun and funny and interesting, but I understand that some people who might be new to this, it can be a little disconcerting, a bit like the Truman Show, you know. It's like, oh no, what's outside the bubble? Anyway, I'm just noticing it a lot more. Yeah, I rang a friend the other day. Hi, friend, and they didn't pick up, so I was left a message on the answering machine, or you know, the voicemail or whatever. Answering machine. I'm so old school. Back in the 90s. Anyway, I was leaving a message on her voicemail, but as I opened my mouth, and I've told her this story, as I opened my mouth to leave the message, and of course I never know what I'm going to say on a message, you know, until I say it, but as I opened my mouth to, you know, as she was finishing the voicemail sort of recorded message, I heard really clearly in my head and had the feeling of where she was and what she was doing, like exactly. And so when, you know, it was my turn to talk on the voicemail message, I was like, hope it's going well, you know, blah, blah, blah. And just talked as though what this intuition I had was accurate. I didn't know. I just had this, you know, literally heard the word, you know, studio in my head and the feeling of my friend, you know, being in the recording studio and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, when I spoke to her later, she was like, that's really cool. That's amazing. Good guess. How did you know? And I'm like, it wasn't a guess. Like I got told, you know, and she's known me for years, so she knows, you know, it didn't freak her out or anything. But yeah, like that's just one really small example. And that was like maybe a couple of weeks ago. So really recently, of my intuition and my instinct. Like I didn't know that's where she was and that's what she was doing that day. But that information came, and I guess it's claircognizance, which is clear knowing. Yeah, I knew it was right. I knew it was accurate because it feels the same as when I get information for anyone else, you know, when I'm doing readings like this or personal readings or whatever, like it has the same feeling. And that's a really key point. They're kind of pointing their finger at this, you know, waggling their finger at me to highlight this part. it's going to be even more important to tune in and tap into and acknowledge and be aware of your own personal sense of discernment. So that, if nothing else, is a really good skill to keep developing. You know, does this feel right to me? Does this feel wrong to me? You know, and that's got to be heart-centered, not fear-centered, you know, fear-based. So yeah, because I've been doing this work for years, I know what they feel like. I know what these messages feel like, and they feel loving and compassionate and warm and helpful and uplifting and light and funny and all of those good things. So when this tiny little moment, which is kind of significant for what we're talking about, happened when I was about to leave a message on my friend's voicemail, I knew it was accurate. You know, it's not anything to do with ego. It's just like turning on the TV going, I know that signal's going to connect to that satellite because that's its job. That's what it does, you know. Or if I turn the radio on in the car, like, same thing, you know. It's not arrogant. It's just the way it works, you know. So because I've fine-tuned my radio dial, I know what it feels like. So when I tune in, I know that it's going to work because I trust what's the messages that are coming because they feel right. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Anyway, intuition's getting louder. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun. It's nothing to be afraid of. Just trust your own instincts. Trust your own discernment. Does this feel right? Does this feel light and loving? And if so, go for it. Hee hee hee. Yeah, lots and lots of little ways where I'm noticing that it's getting bigger and louder and more helpful. Okay, eyes have been a bit wonky. Sleep's been a bit wonky. Dreams have been wacky. Muscles have been a bit tired. All sorts of physical symptoms going on at the moment as well. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Stay out of fear. It's heart-centered living going forward, remember. Heart is really important. Drink more water. Get on the ground. Grounding's really important. I was saying this to another friend the other day. Hi, other friend. That I've been wanting to sit on the ground and weed a lot recently. Hard for me to get up again because of my ankle or my foot hurts, but I do it. But yeah, I recognised the other day that it was me grounding myself. I was like, oh, I really want to do some weeding today, you know. And a few days in a row, that's all I did was, well, not all I did, but, you know, in the afternoon when it was cool enough, sat on the ground for an hour or so and did some weeding. Yeah, so, you know, go to the beach, lie on the sand, have a picnic with your friends, like just get out in nature and get onto the ground. If you're in a climate where that doesn't suit, you know, hug a pot plant, touch some leaves, you know, like you can, and remember, and if you're in a city and 10 million stories in the air, like remember that you can ask the energy of Gaia to rise up to meet you wherever you are, okay? And she will respond. You can do it if you're looking at a picture of the ocean. It doesn't matter, you know. Yeah, so there's lots of ways to ground yourself. Breath work and, you know, yoga or meditation. There's lots of other ways. But actually getting your butt onto the earth feels really important at the moment, okay? So do that if you can. Drink extra water. Oh, there was something in the sort of Pam Gregory with the interviewing the Kathy Rose lady. She mentioned a guy, I can't remember his name. I'll see if I can find the link and put it below in the description box to this video. But she was sort of talking about this a little bit as well. And I was like, that's interesting because it keeps coming up for me too, like the grounding stuff. And she reminded me about breath work and yoga actually, because usually I'm just like, get out in nature. But she was saying there's a guy, I can't remember his name, who's written a book or an article or something. I don't know. I'd have to listen to that bit again, where he talks about how we're moving from a carbon-based life form to a crystalline-based life form. And so how basically you will get these sort of weird, or to us weird, kind of physical effects of the shift. And again, remember that this is unprecedented in human history, you know, like there is no other generation of humans that have lived through a shift like this, you know. So we are the vanguard, the front runners, the forerunners, the way showers, the, you know, lighthouse keepers, all of that stuff. So yeah, finding mentors is really important. I just made a cup of tea before I started recording this, and that popped in quite strongly. It's like, ask for mentors. good mentors. I feel like that's really important at the moment. Yeah, okay. I think that's kind of all I had to say. I've drawn 6 cards, didn't mean to, but that's what happened. Oh, hang on. Promo stuff. I've written myself a note that says promo stuff. Plant communication course is up live, ready to go on Udemy. Please buy it. Please support me. Pretend it's like an album launch or a book launch of your friend. Buy it. Support them because you love them and you want them to keep going with this work. Hint, hint. So that's available. Links are all below. Spirit guide meditation is out live, ready to go. Chakra balance meditation is there, ready and waiting for you to defrag your chakra systems. Readings and Reiki, I'm still doing. Reiki, I'm only doing distantly at the moment, but you can still book that in. Still got merch on Redbubble and Threadless. Designed a few extra boutique ones, bespoke ones for Christmas things, Christmas presents, which I kind of couldn't promote before Christmas because they might have seen them. Anyway, there's a few new designs there that you might want to go and have a look at. And I'm still working on the Oracle card deck. I'm doing a practice painting for the main sort of body of the next Oracle card, which is kind of exciting. I think I mentioned that last month. Anyway, that's still happening. Okay. Yes, okay, cards. 3 different decks. So I've got the Green Witch Oracle by Cheralyn Darcey. Who did the artwork? Not sure. I'll put it in the description box below. So I've got 3 from the Green Witch Oracle, 2 from Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray, artwork by Lily Moses, and 1 from the Mushroom Spirit Oracle by Nicola McIntosh. And Nicola McIntosh did both the illustrations and the text for her deck. So 6 cards. How'd you go? I will drop the cards into the video like I normally do, and I will post them on social media, Facebook and Instagram, a few days after the video goes live. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say then. Okay, cards. Let's have a look. So it's kind of interesting. I've got them in the right order, I think, but it's almost like it's not two different readings, because it makes sense, but I'm just not sure which bit goes first and which bit goes second. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it'll make sense once we get started. Okay, so I'll do the channel-y bit first. Well, I'll tune into them a bit more closely first, and then we'll read the cards as we go along. I think it's generally how it seems to be happening these days. And I forgot to describe the cards as we were going along last month, but I'll try and remember to do that this time. If you're anything like me, when you listen to videos like this, you're barely sort of watching them anyway. Sometimes I'm in the car, sometimes I'm weeding in the garden, or, painting or doing something else, and sort of only look up occasionally. But yeah, usually when I'm describing the cards and talking about each card, there'll be a picture of it on screen. So I'll drop them in like I would normally as we go along. Okay, I feel like they're excited. They're kind of champing at the bit to get started. Greetings, dear ones, and thank you for joining us here again today at our vast and bountiful table. We love you dearly, and we are always, always, always glad of your presence. Your courage and tenacity to stand up in the light when around you things look dark and crumbling like the base of the tower is admirable, my friends. Your trust in the higher vision, your trust in the eagle's perch, your ability to fly above the turbulence, as our dear friend Pam Gregory would say, and be at the higher altitude is something to be congratulated, my friends. We pat you all on the back for being here, for still being here, for showing up in your wise, funny, miraculous, quirky, individual, creative and colourful ways. Each of you is like a shining diamond with many facets, and each of you is a piece of the puzzle that makes up this glorious weave of the tapestry of the universe. And you are an integral thread, my friends. Please remember and please understand, if you have not heard this information already, that the Earth is indeed a very important planet in the universe. Sometimes your social media will show you a picture of your galaxy or your galaxies and put a tiny little dot with a big red arrow and say, you are here. And a lot of the times it is designed to give you perspective if you have troubles or turmoils in your life. But it also sometimes is designed to make you feel insignificant, my friends. Here you are on this tiny blue-green planet in the middle of all of these vast galaxies across vast space. But nothing could be further from the truth, my friends. Nothing could be further from the truth. You are very important. Your Earth is very important. We have said this before, but not for a while, my friends. What happens here on Earth resonates loudly through the universe. It is like when you ring a bell and the echo travels outwards, the sound waves travel outwards across the empty room or the voidal space, or in this case, the universe. We ring the bell with you, my friends. Your elevation, your expansion, the Earth's ascension, this shift that we are all experiencing, is a bell fine-tuned to the frequency of humanity. And as we increase and increase and increase our personal vibrations, we increase and increase and increase the energy within the field. And that field surrounds everything, the planet, your solar system, and everything in the universe. You are indeed important, my friends. Everything you do is important. Do not fear otherwise. And with great responsibility comes great assistance. We hold your hand every step of the way, my friends. This card here, Father Sky, trust in the unknown. It is a beautiful bearded man and a beautiful eagle against the indigo blue background of your third eye, the same color, my friends. And it is what we were saying earlier when Heather was speaking of trusting your intuition and that it is getting louder, and trust in your own discernment. This is the card that represents all of that. There are big changes coming, and it is our invitation to you to embrace the flexibility of change. Be like the child on the beach with the sandcastle. It does not pay to be too devastated for too long when the wave comes and takes your creation, or your big brother or big sister stomps on your turret of sand. For castles of sand are meant to be temporary, my friends. They are meant to be temporary. So take that same ease with which you build a sandcastle as a child and apply it to your lives now. Things will change. This or something better is a great mantra to employ if you are a little unsure of what it of embracing what it is to come when you cannot see what it is to come. Think of it like a surprise present, my friends. Think of it like a surprise present. Nothing to be afraid, but there are changes coming. This next card is the Amanita mushroom, a beautiful red mushroom with white spots. Amanita, expanded awareness. And this expanded awareness is what you have. You are the expanded consciousness of love, my friends. Make these statements boldly as part of your meditations. I am love. I am loved. I am a powerful source in the universe. I am the creator of my life. I am powerful. I am loved. I am holy. Okay, so that was a bit weird. I had to turn the camera off because suddenly I was getting a temperature icon on the screen, which I've never seen before. Anyway, I was like, oh, what's that? Turned it off, and it was really hot. Like the camera was overheating. Oh, jeepers. I am in the subtropics, and it is the middle of summer, and it is hot. But yeah, anyway, the camera overheated. So I had to stop. And I've got the window shut because they're cicadas. So I don't know. Hopefully my magic software, noise cancelling, audio editing software stuff will be able to delete all the annoying background sounds. But we'll see. I've turned the fan off and I've got the windows closed. So it is a bit hot in this room. That was the other reason I really couldn't be bothered turning the camera on, because it's hot and, you know, sweaty and gross. Anyway, so Where were we? Back to the Amanita mushroom, expanded awareness, right? So it's like there is expansion coming. So get ready for it. And they're showing me the image of like, you know, if you're playing ball, throwing balls to each other, you know, catch with someone else, you know, and the way you hold your hands when you're about to catch a tennis ball, you know, sort of cupped your palms together versus the way you'd hold your arms out if it was a big like beach ball or something, you know, it's different. So they're showing me like get ready to catch a beach ball, you know, like a big surprise, big changes. So just get ready, you know, continue with your practices of daily meditation. She says, waggling her fingers at the screen, that people that haven't been doing that. Daily meditation, grounding, you know, words of instruction to your biology. You know, I am loved, I am powerful, my cells are happy and healthy, all of that stuff, yeah? So expand your awareness as much as you can to encourage the new vibrations in. Yeah, I like that. So that's interesting. So the 3 cards that I drew from the Green Witch Oracle deck, 3 in a row, and they say Tranquility, Longevity and Regeneration. So the flowers are violet, chrysanthemum and tarragon. And again, I'll drop the cards in as I'm talking about them. So if you want to have a look at the screen at those times, that's good. If not, I'll drop them in to the, you know, put them up as posts, Facebook and Instagram shortly-ish. Okay. So the Tranquility card kind of relates to that. Oh, Pam Gregory was talking about it too, like stillness and silence. So she mentioned how grounding was really important, which is the same message I was getting. And she was also talking about the stillness and the silence. And that's really important because you can't hear, you know, your spirit guides or whoever if you're constantly yammering, you know, chat, you know, whether that's mental chatter or actual verbal chatter. So you need to have moments of stillness and silence. I meditate a couple of times a day, have done for years, and that's usually at the beginning and the end of each day, and sometimes in between, oftentimes in between actually, but they're my 2 sort of main bookends for the day. So, you know, they're my moments of stillness and silence. Oh, just going back to that, you know, trust in the unknown, instincts are getting louder kind of thing. Like, I tap into that meditative state a few times during the day and have been doing that for a while as well. But it's becoming more and more funnier. Funnier. Bad grammar, but you know what I mean. Like I made a cup of tea before I turned the camera on, and the bit about the mentors popped in really loudly. I think I mentioned that a minute ago. But the way that it popped in, I didn't describe it for you. But that was what made it really funny, right? So usually, well, always, before I do a reading, whether it's for you lot on YouTube, sorry, it's very hot here. I've become very casual. Yeah, whether I'm doing a reading on YouTube or, you know, for like a one-on-one person or doing one of those sort of freelance hens parties or corporate Christmas things or whatever it is, I always ask for, you know, the messages to be loud and clear and benevolent and loving for those people watching or who I'm reading for. And I usually ask for my team, my spiritual team, to come closer, right? So I can hear them more loudly and clearly and give them permission to come in and stuff, right? So I'd forgotten to do that in my morning meditation, right? But I remembered when I was making the cup of tea before I turned the camera on. And I swear it was so funny. It was like, you know, I was like, oh, that's right. And please come closer for the reading. And it was like I could see in my mind's eye one of the, you know, spirit guides or council of elders or, you know, one of my team, doesn't matter who it was, bring their face really, you know, like a kid, like, you know, when kids put their face right in your face. It was a bit like that. It wasn't aggressive. It was funny, you know. Because, you know, if you're saying to a kid, like, look at me or look closely or something, they'll bring your nose pretty much right up to your nose. And it's just kind of funny. That's what they did. That's what they did to me. Like, please come close. And they're like, And it sort of came with the energy of like, we're already close. You actually don't need to ask for that anymore because we're already close. Look how close we are. If we were any closer, we'd actually be touching your nose kind of thing. So that was quite funny. So, and that came in with the sort of, and the reminder of the information actually about mentors, asking for mentors to come close and be clear kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know if I explained that very well. But yeah, I think you get the idea. It was quite funny. What was all that about? Tranquility, Violet. Yes. So making time for the peace and the stillness. And it doesn't have to be long, they're saying. So literally that moment happened that took me 25 years to describe to you just now. Happened while I was boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea, you know. So those kind of, they're saying it's a bit like, you know, if you want to prune a hedge or mow a lawn in summer, little and often is good. You know, in the past, meditation used to be this dedicated, got to sit for an hour in, you know, yogic positions with your fingers in proper mudras and, you know, like everything. I think there's some practices where it's like they sort of make you be uncomfortable in order to overcome the physical, you know, impulses or whatever, which I don't agree with that at all. And sort of never have really. But, you know, that's some practices that people follow and that's fine. I'm more like be as comfortable as you want to be. And also the information's changed. You know I wrote about this in the book and I can't remember if we've spoken about it on these videos, but little and often it's changed, you know. It's one of the many things that's changed since the shift, you know, especially since 2012 is meditate more frequently, and you'll be able to achieve those deeper states as well, but just, tap in more often. Okay, so tranquility, longevity and regeneration. Longevity, chrysanthemum, beautiful flower. This one's a white chrysanthemum with a yellow centre. And it says longevity. It's got a picture also on this card of like it looks like a cross between a compass and a clock, actually. It's quite a lovely design that's on this card next to the flower. And with this, they're saying it's about how they were talking earlier about the expanded awareness card, and they were talking about remember to give instructions to your cells. Okay. So one of the pieces of information that sort of the old Lee Carroll Cryon energy told us a few years ago was that you have control over your body clock, right? I know we've spoken about this before, but again, not for ages. You can instruct your body clock to count every second day, for example. So instead of living for 60 years, you might live for 120 years, you know, just as an example. And that aging to be healthy and happy, you know, because your cells have more and more of a opportunity to regenerate, which is the next card, Tarragon, than they ever have before. Okay. So in this new energy, with your new / changing cellular structure, remember carbon to crystalline, think of the butterfly, going caterpillar to butterfly, your ability to regenerate your cells is also increasing. This is really interesting. I haven't heard them say this quite like this before. Well, I haven't heard them say this before. So this is new information. Whee! That's exciting. Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, longevity and regeneration. They're literally sitting side by side. And when I pulled out the regeneration card, it's tarragon, but I thought it was rosemary. You know, it's not. It's tarragon. But obviously the plants look similar. Yeah, regeneration. So they're just saying that those regenerative qualities or properties within your DNA structure are being unlocked, unleashed, opened, able to be accessed now. More and more now, you know. Like it's almost like, I think I used to say this in the Playing in the Field workshop. It's like a speed limiter, you know, was sort of put on our ability to regenerate before, but since 2012, it's like that speed limiter has been removed. You know, we're 12 years into a 26,000 year cycle. So, you know, we're still learning what we're capable of, you know. And that's one of the exciting, they're pointing back to this Father Sky and Trust the Unknown and the expanded awareness cards that we started with. It's one of the exciting things that's coming, you know. Our perception of aging is changing and will change. I mean, you look at a 60-year-old now, they're nothing like what a 60-year-old person looked or behaved like when I was a kid. And I know that's my perception from being a child to being an adult shifting, but we have also shifted, right? You know, oh yeah, interesting. So recently, like in the last month or so, I keep meeting people, like whether they're working at the supermarket or, you know, volunteering where I'm volunteering, or, you know, just random people out at a gig or whatever. And generally they're sort of in their maybe mid-20s, these people, but they guess my age and it's about 20 years wrong, like 20 years wrong, which, you know, they weren't sucking up to me. They legit were surprised when I told them that I'm 54. They're like, what? And their little eyes bugged out of their heads and their jaws dropped open, which is the most amusing, entertaining part for me when I tell people how old I am. You know, and again, that's not ego or whatever. That's just, you know, that's how old I am and this is what I look like. So, you know, whatever. But I have been meditating every day for, you know, X number of years and been instructing my cells and all the rest of it. And it's not about looking young in a culture that's obsessed with idealizing youth, because I really like being this age and I like the wisdom and the confidence and the sort of internal power that comes with it, especially as a woman, postmenopausal woman. Like, it's awesome. Hello. Do not fear this. Embrace it. It's kind of fun. But for me, it's possibly like thinking about it in this context, because they've brought it up, so I'm mentioning it, in terms of this sort of longevity / regeneration bizzo. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, people are seeing it, you know. I don't look like I went to a reunion thing and I just was like, oh my God, everyone looks really old. And I was like, oh no, that's what people look like. You know, when you're my age. But anyway, I don't know. It's just funny. It's actually just funny. Although sometimes, like I was saying to one of the guys at the checkout, when he thought I was, he was surprised when I said I'm, because he started guessing at like late 20s, and was surprised when I said no to. He was like, 30? You're not 30, I was like, no, I'm not. But anyway, like I said to him, like sometimes it works against me because I don't get the respect of an elder because I don't look like an elder. So people sometimes try and talk down to me or poo-poo my experience or assume I don't have experience or as much experience or, whatever. So that's kind of an interesting flip side or shadow side or downside to it. Like it's a bit bizarre. Anyway, okay, so tranquility, longevity, regeneration. Was there anything else about that? No, just that the regeneration thing. And they're showing me rosemary as well, because rosemary is known as the memory herb. I've got a lot of it growing in the garden and I put it in pretty much everything these days. So there is an encouragement to actually eat these herbs like tarragon and rosemary. You can get edible violets as well. I would not recommend eating chrysanthemums. I have tried it in my youth. They're not going to kill you, but they don't taste the best. So support yourself with the herbal medicine, with the herbs, fresh herbs in particular is what they're saying. They're not, yeah. Grow them if you can, straight out of the garden, straight into your mouth. Okay, right. Last card, which this is the bit, I was saying at the beginning, like I wasn't sure the order of the cards. And it was like I had 3 and 3 set out. I knew the 3 Greenwich Oracle, like the Tranquility, Longevity, Regeneration, Violet, Chrysanthemum, Tarragon, they were in that order because that's what felt right. But these other 3, the Father Sky, the Amanita, and the Fire Guardian, I wasn't sure where Fire Guardian went, and he's last, which is interesting. I think initially I had him first. So the last card is from Kyle Gray's Angels and Ancestors Oracle card deck, artwork by Lily Moses, and he's the Fire Guardian. And he's a handsome looking angel guy with big sort of bronzy gold wings. And he's got his palms facing upwards, and I guess that's the fire symbol in a ball above, sort of levitating above one of his hands. Fire Guardian, and it says ignite your passions. Ah, okay, interesting. They just immediately flashed into my mind because I'm like, what's this card about? And they immediately flashed into my mind like the 9. Yeah, it's a 9 year, 2025. So that's really interesting. We've sort of come full circle, haven't we? So ignite your passions. And with the number 9 that they flashed into my mind, it came with the feeling of the wisdom of that cycle, yeah? So I remember right at the very beginning we were talking about how a 9 year comes with all of the wisdom and the humour and the focus, they're saying, and direction and purpose and drive and all of that stuff, experience, we're just talking about experience, of the 9, of the ending of the cycle. Okay, I'm back again. I had to stop again because the camera overheated again. How strange. I mean, it's a hot day, but, you know, anyway, weird. So I just went and had a break and waited for the camera to cool down. Very strange. So Fire Guardian, ignite your passions. And I can't remember exactly what we were saying just before the camera overheated. Oh yeah, the 9. The wisdom and the clarity and focus, they're saying, that the 9 brings. So when you have experience or a lot of experience in a particular field, whether it's cooking dinner for 6 people or writing a report or constructing a building or writing an album or a book or it doesn't matter what it is, when you have a lot of experience in that, like your wisdom fuels the fire underneath the structure, so your passion has more free reign. Oh, that's interesting. And it makes a lot of sense. I was reading an art magazine the other day and they were quoting, he's like a famous English landscape painter called Constable, John Constable. And apparently he always said, practice makes pleasure. And I thought that was really interesting because often we say practice makes perfect, right? But practice makes pleasure actually makes more sense. And I thought of like when you learn to drive, for example, it's, you know, it's a bit stressful and you've got to remember what your hands do and what your feet do and, you know, all of the things you've got to look out for and do and be aware of and whatever. But then, whatever, gangster driving. But then once you kind of know the mechanics of it, it can become pleasurable. I mean, I know some people still hate driving, but do you know what I mean? Like you're not thinking about the mechanics of it so much, then it can become pleasurable. You can look out the window if it's safe to do so and admire the scenery or listen to the radio or, you know, whatever it is. And it's the same with any skill. Like once you know how to write a song, for example, or paint a painting, then you can expand beyond the familiar bounds of the constructs of the art form itself. Whew, there's a sentence. A bit like jazz music, I suppose. You know, it's composed of all the normal notes that we have, but it's put together in a very different way, you know. Or the surrealist painters, the surrealist artist, here's the, you know, breaking the fourth wall of the confines. Look at Picasso, you know, I know he wasn't a very nice man, but his artwork where he kind of had those, a man with 3 eyes or whatever, like he knew how to draw a person properly, but then kind of expanded beyond the confines of the structure of the face, for example. Anyway, that's really interesting. So basically the last message they want to leave us with here is take that wisdom, and I know I've dropped out of direct channel, but that's fine. Take the wisdom of the 9 and carry it through this year to stay focused with that archer's kind of pinpoint accuracy, stay focused on your goals and bring with it the wisdom, the discernment, the trust, the joy, the laughter, and the celebration of the 9. Because new beginnings are coming at the same time, right? Yeah, that's really interesting. And it feels really exciting. You know, it's like if you just learn to bake and you suddenly get really excited about baking. You're like, oh, I can make this cake next, or I can make that, or I can make, oh, and if I can do this to this recipe, what can I do to, do you know what I mean? Like it becomes exciting because you've got, you know, the other skills or the other experience under your belt. Yeah, so again, sort of pointing us back to that Amanita card, the expanded awareness, like take advantage of this beautiful 9 year, you know, trust what you know you can trust, expand what needs to be expanded, follow your passions, and that will lead you to the tranquility, longevity, and regeneration of yourself. So it's a constant renewal. That's beautiful. That's really nice. Okay, I'm going to leave it there before the camera overheats again. And before I overheat, actually, because the windows are all shut and I turned the fan off. Yeah, enjoy January. Take it easy if you're having a rest. Actually have a rest if you've got some time off work, like some people do. Keep your boundaries strong against those who don't deserve your time, your effort, or your energy. Keep your circle close. Enhance your meditation skills and keep your grounding practice, you know, as a daily kind of ritual, because those things have become more and more important as we move forward. Okay, I got to turn the fan on because I'm sweating. I love you all very much. Thank you for supporting me in lots of many and lovely and varied ways. Like the video if you liked it, share it if you think other people will benefit. Commenting is really important for the algorithm as well, so if you feel like dropping me a hello in the comments, that would be actually quite useful. And that's the same across all the platforms, Facebook and Instagram. Apparently it's the new algorithm is all about commenting. So if you feel like it, that would be cool. Yeah, stay cool. If you're in a hot climate, stay warm if you're in a cold climate. And I'll talk to you next month. Until then, much love. Bye.